welcome back to another episode of First Take or Remake. We are continuing on from our last video where we were looking at the remakes of the Disney classics. We've already covered Alice in Wonderland and Maleficent. Stay calm. Today we're going to look at Cinderella, Jungle Book and Beauty and the Beast, but only briefly because, as I said in our previous video, we have reviewed Beauty and the Beast already. If you haven't seen that review, please check out the links in the box below.
He's somewhere around here.
It's in the vicinity.
We've been here all week. We've sat in the same spot. We haven't changed. We haven't showered.
Same clothes.
Just for you.
Just for you.
You waited, so we waited.
Okay, so continuing on our timeline, we have the remake of Cinderella. Now, shockingly enough, considering the enormous amount of negativity from our last video, this is actually going to be quite a positive video. Cinderella. So like I said in our previous video, we watched the originals, the Disney originals, and then we watched the remakes. So we watched them back to back. And Cinderella, for me, is the best of all the Disney remakes. The original is 1950s.
51 or something
51?
like that. Yes, it's in the 1950s.
It's dated. The original is dated. It hasn't aged well. It doesn't hold up, in my opinion, with regards to entertaining today's children. And so I can understand why Disney looked at it and said, you know what, this needs redoing because...
A fresh coat of paint.
Yeah. And they did it fantastically well. The good bits... I mean, actually, no. We're going to do it reverse because I don't think there's going to be hardly any bad bits. Was there anything about this that you thought was bad?
I don't... Like I say, this is disagreeing with me and you have specifically is... I don't like the way some of the characters were treated. One of the things we were talking about in the last video is like the way like some characters get completely butchered to basically make some characters look better.
Yeah.
In this one, I think what's it called?
The Grand Duke.
The Grand Duke basically turns evil instead of being
Comic
a
relief.
comic relief, but also actually a really actually sincere character. And also, I don't like some of the things Cinderella does in the remake. I don't like the way she basically has in this film a good number of opportunities to run, and in the beginning she gets promised to look after her stepmom and stepsisters, and it's got to the point in the film where she can't take any more, and there's just some. I was just thinking, in any other situation, it'd be like, yeah, you'd ride till the sunset and never look back, but obviously because it's a Disney fairy tale. It obviously goes back and does take a lot more crap. And there's also another example where basically there's not really that many spoilers because it is basically kind of in a way word for word like the original Cinderella. Basically in the bit where she's locked in the tower and all that, for me, the one thing that was weak about the original Cinderella was that she didn't try to escape or anything because they've tried to make the Cinderella in the remake seem a bit more of a stronger character, but there's times where it's very consistent in my opinion. Like she'll be strong, she'll be kind and courageous. Two words you'll probably want to, if you play a drinking game, you'd actually die. The amount of times they say be kind and courageous.
Have courage and be kind.
It's same different day, but. She doesn't try to escape. She doesn't try to be courageous and try and get out while the soldiers are there trying to slip her on everything, thinking, no, I'm not going to take this anymore. I'm going to try and get out.
There are reasons for that.
Yeah, the reasons I just don't think are strong enough. Like you say, you think like she's got a commitment to the house.
She doesn't. Right, I should make a point before we move away from that point that you've raised. In the original Cinderella, the mice run up the stairs and tell her that they are that what's going on downstairs. In the remake, she has no idea what's going on downstairs, so why on earth would she feel the need to try and break out of the room?
Mice can't talk in this one.
Okay, but in this one, she's aware that the prince is looking for her. She is aware that the prince
That's true, I'll let you
So
have that.
when you've got the knowledge that the prince is looking for you, You know what he looks like. He knows what you look like because this prince has actually got a brain and actually got eyes.
And a
although
name.
apparently,
And a name.
although apparently the
His name is
rest of the lords and ladies in the castle don't seem to have eyes because some of the times they try the shoe on with people. They test on some people where you're just like, sorry, do you not have eyes? Oh, so and I know there's obviously it's only the prince who knows what.
No. The didn't the fairy godmother cast a spell so that nobody would recognise her?
Okay, my argument is that she said this word specifically is that because Cinderella goes, oh, what if my stepmom and stepsisters see me? They'll recognise me. She said, I'll put a spell on you so they won't recognise you. So the spell was specifically for the stepmother and the stepsisters.
I didn't read it that way
Yeah.
if anybody else would have recognised her and could have told them.
Probably, yeah. But in the end, my argument would be that the prince recognised her immediately.
Yeah.
On the spot, recognised her. The only thing he
That's
did...
good!
The only thing he didn't have was a name. That was basically all he did have. So, it's... Like I said,
You've got issues with some of the things.
Yeah, I got some of the logic.
Some of the logic. Okay.
For me, it's just... Ugh.
Cole, did you have any negatives?
I think it's just some little extra padding at the beginning. Because, like, I don't know, I think I had low expectations. So when I was watching it myself, I could not help but take the piss out of it, basically. It's like, there's the mum. It's like, I'm waiting for her just to clutch her chest, just drop of some sort.
And she did in this one.
She didn't clutch her chest, but she did just sort of go.
Oh, she did drop dead.
I heard a cough. I was like, there it is.
Disney plague! Hashtag Disney plague!
And the other thing as well I noticed was that, actually I have two other things, was that when Cinderella is locked in the tower, she's not upset or anything. She's like, she tries to see the positive side. I'm like, okay, any other situation, this would have been part where you would say, oh, she's snapped. She has lost her mind now. She's gone crazy. The other point was like the pumpkin carriage. Oh. When the pumpkin transforms into the carriage,
it's inside a glass.
Yeah, it's encased in gold. It doesn't. At least in the original, you could tell it looks like the pumpkin because it's just like a pumpkin, giant and white.
Oh.
And it's like this one it's just a standard gold carriage with a little pumpkin on top. It looked better turning back into the pumpkin than it did turning into the carriage.
Okay.
Apart from that, it was quite good. It was actually in terms of animated films, it was actually the most faithful to the source material, basically.
Yes.
In terms of Disney films, not books and all that.
Okay.
Thank God, not the books.
No, we won't go into that. I don't have a single bad thing to say about it, really.
Say what?
So I'm just going to go straight in with the good.
Good.
So we'll talk about the positives now. Move on. It's just everything. So the visuals were really beautiful for this film. You mentioned that.
Yeah.
I loved the development of Cinderella herself. I loved the development of the two ugly sisters. I thought, was it Kate Blanchett?
Yeah,
Kate Blanchett, yeah.
Played the evil stepmother, and although
Lady Tremaine.
Yes. Although for me she wasn't as frightening as the original Lady Tremaine in Cinderella, I think she did so well, and she brought a new dimension to the character. I just think that the writing for this film was so good. The visuals were good. The prince was more developed. Their relationship was more developed. They met more than once and fell in love over that. Like, he really, really liked... Oh, yeah, well, he did fall in love with her from the first time he met her, but there were more than one interaction. It wasn't just that she went to the ball and he spotted her and was like, oh, my God. They actually met beforehand when she had that moment that Sean was talking about where she runs off into the sunset but then ends up going back to the house. I know that you two might feel like the beginning was a bit unnecessary, the backstory with her mum and her dad, because we already knew that her mum had died, and we knew that her dad was going to die because that's what happens. But I do feel like it did add something, to show how she is like her mother, how she related to her father, and how their relationship was affected by his second marriage and stuff. I liked it.
Yeah.
What about who am I going to pick?
I have something to say. I have something to say about Lady Tremaine. I actually did enjoy it. In terms of Kate Blanchett, she was a character you actually did love to hate. She's like, and including her daughters as well, like Gisela and Anastasia. They were still fun to watch. I just liked the way they added that little extra layer to Lady Tremaine because unlike Maleficent last week, this one actually feels a lot more justified because it's actually based in reality, because you do have cases where the step parent might not have the same connection with the child as the child did with the biological parent. So it makes sense. Like you're not going to fill the shoes. Like, so you're not my real mum. Well, then you're not my real daughter. Then so I'm gonna treat you like that. At least there's some ground to that base to that.
I was just gonna say I could make an argument to that. Is obviously the promise I mentioned before is that the father asks Cinderella, or Ella in this case, because she's not called Cinderella until later,
which is covered in ash.
But he asked her to promise to look after the stepmom and the stepdaughters and that. So I see it was that promise that basically put her in the situation of she does all the chores, and basically I think that's what makes Kate Blanchett a little bit more evil, as actually in some ways, is that she heard the promise. So she's taken full advantage of it. So I don't see her having any effort of trying to be a good stepmom. I think it's just basically taking advantage that she's got a stepdaughter and use it to her advantage.
Yeah, it's just obviously because there's some basis in reality. The fact is that because you get that relationship between step parents and stepchildren. Yeah. But again, it's like Kate Blanchett was a bitch and you love it.
Yeah.
What about you? Good things.
Good things. Yeah, like I say, it was colourful, it was bright, it was charming, it was humorous. It basically, this is the one Disney film where all the right notes were hit. Basically, it got about 95% of everything correct. Like I say, if I'm gonna be nice about it, I'll say the 5% that I suppose negative, if anything, a nitpick, just because of my experience with live action remakes of Disney classics. But Cinderella, like I say, overall was fine. There's a couple of things I disagree with about her behaviour. The prince, thank God he was developed. Thank God Rob Stark got a bit of development. And all the other side characters were nice and memorable. I actually read, like I say, the stepsisters, stepmom, even the king. Even the king got a bit of a touchy moment. The king got a bit.
So he's like Maurice in Beauty and the Beast. He was a lot more kind and a lot more softer tone.
Less shouty. Yeah, very shouty in the first one.
Less goofy in this one.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go in with first take or remake, Colt.
For this one, I'm going to say it's a remake. Although both films are good, this one still warrants a watch on its own. At least, so it's warranted enough to its own identity.
Sean, first take or remake? Oh.
I'm gonna. It's a hard one to think because.
Cue the dramatic music.
Yeah. Alright.
You gonna pick?
No. I'm gonna go. You know what? I'll go remake just because.
He's not happy, but he'll say it.
Just because, like you say, the original Cinderella is dated. There are some things that are not. Are basically a product of the time.
Yeah.
This one feels more timeless in a way. This remake, so I'll give it that.
I do miss the mice though.
No, but if you want to see the mice, you can watch the original. Yeah,
and that's good because. And that's good. Even though the remakes, that's basically the whole summary of the whole thing. Even though it's a bit early, is that they're not gone. They're still there, so you can still watch those too.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm also going to say remake for this one. It held my attention so much stronger than rewatching Cinderella. I think that one of the things that you can do with these sort of Disney classics to modern Disney classics is you tend to look back on the original with nostalgia and sort of rose-tinted glasses. And so when I heard that they were remaking Cinderella after having experienced Alice in Wonderland and Maleficent, I was like, oh God, no. They're going to ruin it. And so I didn't go to the cinema to see it. I purposefully didn't go because I didn't want to support the idea of these Disney remakes. But I regret not going to the cinema to see this. I regret having early prejudice because it was fantastic. But it's understandable where my prejudice came from.
Plus, you could have got to see Frozen Fever at the cinema as well.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jungle Book. So I was never too fussed on the original of this, I've got to be honest. It's never been one of my favourite Disney films, Jungle Book. So I wasn't too bothered when they said that they were going to remake it. I don't know how about you two. Again, positive feelings for this film. Do you want to go in with good or bad first?
Go with bad.
Go in with the bad. We're switching it up this week. Okay, so bad. My main bad thing for this was Idris Elba as Shere Khan. Now, I love Idris Elba as an actor. I think he's fantastic. But again, this is something that Colt mentioned in our Beauty and the Beast review. Star power can have an adverse effect on certain films, especially if it's an animated character that you're playing. So all I could hear was Idris Elba's voice, and the original Shere Khan was very posh and suave, and that's how he was like Tom Hiddleston as an evil villain, rather than Idris Elba, who's Cockney, and it didn't quite sit right for me in the beginning. I got used to it by the end of the film. But at the beginning of the film, all I could hear was Idris Elba's voice coming out of a tiger's mouth, and it was very distracting for me. What about you? That's one of the things that's bad about it.
I would say, again, a couple of logical things that were just like a bit like, almost like Disney was shooting themselves in the foot. Just a couple of moments, but I would actually say this is the one remake I'm, like you say, Cinderella for you is the strongest remake. For me, this is actually the strongest remake for me.
He said it!
Okay.
Just because I feel like this has actually been done by people who know what they're doing.
No, I get where you're coming from, because you mentioned about how at the end of the credits, or the beginning of the credits even, Disney classics, the older ones, are known for having the book opening, and that's how the story begins. That was sort of Walt Disney's thing in the early stages, and they homage that at the beginning of the credits, where they open the book and the credits have got the music over the top, and they've got the 3D animals and stuff, and
Pop-up book.
like a pop-up book, and I just thought that was a lovely homage to the original.
Yeah, but for finding for negatives, again, like I said, logical things, like there's a bit where the wolves, just like I say, the meeting where the wolves decide Mowgli's got to go.
Oh.
Funny enough, in this one, it's Mowgli that actually steps up and says, "Fine, I'll go." But then, and then obviously Bagheera steps in and says, "Okay, I'll take you." But in the next scene, he says, "I don't want to go to the man village," because me and you were saying, all right, he's got no reason to say he doesn't want to go to the man village because he's just volunteered to go.
He's just volunteered,
and he has basically these wolves and Bagheera have said, "We've got to take him to the man village where he's safe," and he was right there.
When
he heard everything that was said. And he still complains a little bit, not as badly as he did the original, because that was one of the things that was a bit off about the original, was that Mowgli was just basically like spent the whole film complaining, and in this one he doesn't really complain that. He basically complains for like the first bit, and then eventually when the story gets going, it's all fine. He doesn't really complain again. So that's really all it is for me. There wasn't anything else. Maybe. The only thing I would say is I don't like the direction they took Baloo.
No,
nobody else was.
More, self-serving. They made him a bit more self-serving, which maybe might be more true to the fact that he's an animal, and animals are self-serving. But at the same time, Baloo was a more lovable character in the original.
Yeah. But that's all I've got to say
about
that point.
Okay, it had two things about the Jungle Book, or as you might as well call it, the jump scare from when we watched it.
Oh yeah,
because there were a few films
twice where I grabbed onto him and was like, ah!
There are two things. The first one, because you mentioned about the star power.
Yeah.
I think it was worse for Scarlett Johansson as Car. Because when you think of Car, you think of like the guy who does like a Winnie the Pooh voice, goes like, "Trust in me," kind of thing. But when you hear Scarlett Johansson, you just hear Scarlett Johansson. It actually felt tacked on. It's like it's kind of weird how she sounded more natural in the film Her, where she played an app basically. And the other thing as well is like there's very little songs in this one. It's like there's only 2 songs. The most famous ones like Bare Necessities and I Want to Be Like You. But the problem is all the other songs get omitted apart from the credits where you actually do hear Trust in Me. But because they're still there, they feel so out of place. And especially with King Louis. Because like it would have worked because it's Christopher Walken as King Louis. It would have worked well if he'd been intimidating throughout.
Yeah.
Because he felt more like a gangster in a way. It's like, okay, this is a good interesting situation. But then he goes, and then you hear the music. Now don't start doubting me, boy. And do. And then obviously goes, ooby doo. I want to be like you, hoo. It's like
Let Sean do it. Let Sean do it.
Ooby doo. I want to be like you. Ooh.
That's what he does.
Yeah. So it's just sort of like it's a very completely different character. It's like it would have worked had they kept the other songs in because it would have been more like a musical. Because even the characters who can't sing have a chance to sing then. But no, it's like okay, you're weird. I'm going to go away now. The fact you're super huge.
Yeah, size was my next point. The size of King Louis, he was far too big. I mean, I understand they were trying to make him intimidating, but they could have made him at least just like go with normal orangutan size and then maybe add about 3 sizes maximum to make him intimidating. Don't make him the size of a temple. That was ridiculous. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say, it almost felt like they wanted, it should have been a case of go hard or go home. Either have the songs in and leave it at that, or take the songs completely out because,
like they've done for Mulan. They've completely taken the songs out.
Because it felt like Bare Necessity just felt like it suddenly came in there. Like, if Baloo was basically just whistling it to begin with, I was like, okay, keep that in. Because it feels natural. But then all of a sudden, boom, we're in the song. And sung badly by Bill Murray, but it was one of those things that was so bad it was good. Because it was like...
It was acceptable because not everybody can sing.
Yeah. But, and then obviously, like I say, Christopher Walken singing... I Want to Be Like You did come out of a bit like we knew it was coming because obviously it's going again. These remakes are going point for point, so we knew it was coming. But I get if you
than Bare Necessity, to be honest.
I didn't like either of them.
But if you hadn't seen Jungle Book and you went to this film, these songs would just come out of nowhere because the tone of this film is not musical.
No. Right. So positives for Jungle Book. It was far more entertaining for me. It kept, like Cinderella, it kept my attention far better than the original. The original has aged. Not as badly as Cinderella, but it has still aged. And Mowgli has got Ariel syndrome. Now, Ariel syndrome is Little Mermaid syndrome, which is you are a spoilt little brat who does whatever the hell you want and sod what your parents say because you know better. Can you tell how I feel? So in the original, Mowgli is just the whole time, all he does is complain. I don't want to go to the man village. I don't want to go. And then he ends up running off and just being an idiot for the whole thing. Whereas in this one, yes, like Sean said, he does complain for the first part and he does make a sort of logical plot hole error in his head where he sort of accidentally misheard where he was going. But for the majority, he's a better character. He's more rounded. He's got... he's been developed to the point where he wants to be accepted by the pack. And he's trying his best to be a wolf. Whereas in the original, he was accepted automatically. It was just sort of skipped over. And in this one, he's sort of divided between wanting to be part of the jungle and be part of the pack and trying to push down all of his... human traits, his man traits.
His tricks.
Like what they call it, tricks. So being able to invent things like a cup to drink out of. And the wolf pack look down on him for using that. They expect him to act as a wolf. You mentioned, was it you that mentioned the better sense of community within the jungle?
Yeah. Basically, in the film, it's established that during the dry seasons and there's not enough water, the animals form what's called a water truce. So, like, water comes before food. So everyone, prey and predator, actually come together to take a drink. Because it's very scarce. You might as well share and all this sort of stuff. It's like that was actually quite good. It made it different. It's like it gave more of a sense of community and gave all these other characters you wouldn't have thought of. It's like more identity. It's like it just felt more peaceful, to be honest, until Shere Khan showed up. And even he respected the water truce, which is interesting as well.
Go on. Good points.
I would say overall, it's an overall well executed film. It's got good characters, as much as with only a couple of them really standing out for the voices being distracting, like say Scarlett Johansson, Idris Elba, but the rest, like even for Bill Murray, I didn't find distracting.
No,
I didn't find
okay.
everyone else wasn't distracting. I think Ben Kingsley as Bagheera was the standout character for me.
Yeah.
He really
on point. It was.
It felt
on point.
It felt like the opportunities that were missed in the original, like the final bit where it's Baloo versus Shere Khan and stuff like that. I was thinking, where's Bagheera and all this? Bagheera was just shoved to one side, but Bagheera actually gets to be a protector in this film. And also the look of it, I was waiting for this to be a CGI nightmare, and in a way, it is. But you know what?
No.
I'd say it is. Yeah, there's loads of CGI everywhere. But what they did, which I think the other films don't do, is that they blended the live action character well into this world.
Yes.
Whereas in the other films, you could easily see what's a set and what is green screen. Whereas in this one, you could see they basically did their best to blend him in, saying, "All right, this is going to be completely CGI.
It's immersive.
You're the only live action You're the only live action thing in this film.
Yeah.
We need to blend you into this world." Like I say, the wolves get a lot more screen time. It actually gives a little bit of heart. It actually gives you the wolves a genuine goodbye for Mowgli.
Yeah.
And it adds a lot more. It adds a lot more fun. It feels like this was a fun time with moments of serious. It actually, if anything, it felt like a good homage to the original Disney classics. It was dark when it needed to be. It was light when it needed to be, and it was humorous when it needed to be, and serious. And in the end, I think this is, and that justifies for me why this is, for me, the best live action remake so far made.
It also makes changes as well, so it stands out on its own, especially the ending, which I'm not going to say here.
No. I want to just have a moment to just appreciate the CGI in this film, because in a lot of these Disney remakes, what's its face? Maleficent as a main example. The fairies, as my point, they looked horrendous. The animals in this film were so beautifully done, and just we saw a still the other day, a still of the film, and the wolf that was on the screen looked real, and the tiger. Somebody I spoke to said that the tiger looked fat, and I was like, oh, when I was watching it, I was waiting to see this obese tiger walk on the screen. And it wasn't. It was a beautiful, beautiful CGI tiger. All of the animals are so well done. The panther, Bagheera, looks beautiful. His eyes, just fantastic work from Disney on this. If we're going to slate them for the other things that they've done wrong, we really have to give them props for what they've done right.
And what I'll give them props is that they've actually taken one of their products and given it to, like I said earlier, given it to people who know what they're doing. Jon Favreau, the director of Iron Man, Elf, and what else? Those are the two main things he's done. He knows how to tell a good story. He knows how to make a good film. There's a couple of examples where he's not made a good film, but we'll pass that. But they've given it to people who are passionate about the source material, want to see it improved, but not completely and utterly ruined.
Yes.
And that's what you need to do, Disney. You need to stop giving it to people you either owe money to or something like that.
You lost a bet to.
You need to let these filmmakers do what they believe is right for the product. If the fact that you didn't have anyone argue with, just quick Maleficent, the fact that you didn't have anyone argue with the filmmakers saying, why is Maleficent an anti-hero, she should be a villain, that's your property, that's your baby, and you just basically said, oh yeah, that's fine, do that, I don't care. Well, that's what it felt like. But with Cinderella and Jungle Book, you've given it to filmmakers who know what they're doing, know what they want to do with the product, and you've let them do it.
Okay.
Plus, Jungle Book did win the Oscar for best special effects. So
Oh, good. Deserved it.
yeah, at first I was like, are you sure? I was like,
No,
okay,
it
maybe
deserved
yeah.
it.
It's like it's just because I just wanted Doctor Strange to win, to be honest.
I know you did.
Oh no, I was happy with Jungle Book.
Okay, so first take or remake, Colt.
Based on what we've said so far, I'm gonna say remake. It's like of all the films, even before, although I did have expectations let down a bit for sure in certain parts. When I saw the trailers and I heard like the music, like the bare necessities in an orchestral version, I was like, oh, actually seems promising, especially compared to Maleficent's. Like, I actually want to watch this, but I'll wait till later on when I can watch it on Netflix or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a remake because it pays homage, but it's has its own identity and to stand out.
Sean, first take or remake?
Yeah, I'll for the first time I'll strongly say remake. No hesitation or anything. It would be remake. I say the original is great. It does have its flaws, which are, like I say, age is one of them, and a couple of other things with the specific characters. The remake seems to fix those problems.
Yep.
Has one or two logical plot holes. The way some characters behave, but overall, they're things I can happily ignore because the good massively outweighs the bad for a change. So that's what my reason. Like I say, I like the homages it made to the Disney animated classics with the book.
Yeah,
with
the
way it kind of like swerved the Disney logo in there and stuff like that.
Yes.
It made, and like I say, funny enough, one thing I would say that it actually incorporated the music, the score.
Yes, I was about to say that.
Yeah, the music, the original music, the drum beats and everything, as well as the songs. One thing that, again, Maleficent, to be honest, I don't think it was that big of a deal with Alice in Wonderland and Cinderella, but for me, Maleficent and Jungle Book, and obviously Beauty and the Beast when we get to it, have significant soundtracks. And the fact that Maleficent only used the song at the end credits and did actually use the Maleficent themes was also another kick in the balls for me. But again,
Jungle Book have done it
Jungle
right.
Book I've done it the closest right.
Okay. I'm also going to say remake on this one. This held my attention, again, far better than the original. In fact, as I've said, I wasn't a massive fan of the original anyway, but this one, I would actually go out and buy it. We were in HMV and I was looking in the Blu-ray section. So, the Disney one. So, yes, remake on this one. So, we're going to sum up with Beauty and the Beast, as it's the most recent Disney remake to hit cinemas. We've already reviewed it, so if you want some more details, link in below. We're just going to briefly cover it just as part of our timeline. So, general feeling was mixed.
Yeah.
Mixed. There were good things about it, but there were also bad things. It wasn't... I think this was 50-50. I think it was half bad, half good. Do you think?
Yeah, it was okay.
Yeah, I can see that too.
Yeah, because with Maleficent, it was a dead-on no. This was wrong, this was bad, no. With Alice in Wonderland, same thing. With Cinderella, it was, this is amazing. With Jungle Book, same thing. But with this one, it's kind of like, there are 5 remakes currently, and this is the one that makes it 2.5, 2.5 for either side, I think. Are we sticking with bad first? Because that's what we've been doing. Bad first.
Yeah.
Okay, so bad things about this, just to quickly go over it. The music was absolutely terrible. You could tell people had been auto-tuned. Couldn't get past Emma Watson's star power, is one of the points you made in our review. The Beast's line being stolen by Mrs. Potts. It's supposed to be him that says, I love her, and Mrs. Potts robs him of that moment. Just, for me, I left the cinema feeling very mixed.
It kind of felt like, in a sum up, it felt like we gone two steps forward and 1 step back. So it felt like you've had 2 first attempts that have at least have been successful financially, but for us personally have been complete flops and complete insults. And then you've had two where you've given it to people that know what they're doing, and they've actually created great films. And then this one kind of felt 50-50 because it felt like, all right, you seem to be going in the right direction, but then, oh wait, hold on, you've been pulled back again.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Colin?
Well, basically, there's not just this. What I have in mind is that it's not just applies to Beauty and the Beast, but it also applies to all the films we had so far. Is that I love cartoons. I animate for a living. I animate for these two, and sometimes they help me too when they get the chance. But the reason why I love cartoons is because it can be so expressive. You can do whatever you want. It can be creative. I've seen some really good cartoons. It's like I'm still watching good cartoons. I've watched Adventure Time, watched Avatar, and all this sort of stuff. And basically, there's just so much you can do with cartoons. And when you make them live action, you're limiting yourself to the physics of the real world. Like, for instance, in the scene during the Gaston song, in the original, you can have characters being thrown around and fighting and all this sort of stuff. And it really exemplify all the traits of Gaston. Like, when he's walking, like, the ground does shake beneath his boots and all this sort of stuff. But when you try to do that with live action, you can't really do that. So you try and make up with it with theatrical stuff, or at least they try to do that. But you lose some of the charm that the original had. And it's annoying when other people don't see animations like, oh, it's kid stuff kind of thing. Yeah. And it's like, and do I say it's only just for kids? And to what I say is, well, what do you then? It's like, well, we've got South Park and Family Guy. It's like, well, is that for kids? No. And it's like, you can do so much more with cartoons. Like, and as I've said before, it's like, it's kind of like a double-edged sword when you try to apply it to physics, because in the sense, although in this case, it's more like the double-edged sword is pointing you in both edges, basically. Because, again, you're trying to limit yourself to the physics of the real world, but when you go a bit beyond that with fantastical, you start to question the film. Like we did with King Louis, with The Jungle Book.
Because he was giant.
And Lumiere, it's like, he looks like a little statue when he's walking around, but when he's when he's an actual candle, he's like, where did the base come from and all that sort of stuff? It's like, how does he become a candle? I've been trying to figure, like, does he do that or that? It's like, it just doesn't work. Because at least with the original Lumiere, he does look like a candle. It's like he hops around, all that sort of stuff. And it's just that don't dismiss animation. In fact, if anything, animation puts a lot more effort into the work, because you have to create the whole worlds yourselves. You have to create the people. You have to create the sets. You have to create the props. It's just, I'm having my own blessed moment here, basically.
He's having his moment. Let him have his moment.
It's like, and the fact is, like, Big's like, the fact we only had like the best animated feature only since 2001 is like, says something how like people snub animated films and TV shows. It's like, just give it a chance, will you? It's like, there's some really good cartoons. Like, it's like we watch them when we were kids. Why can't we still watch them, kind of thing? That's what I have to say. It's my 2 cents, basically.
Laid down the truth.
Are you being specific about 2D animation specifically?
Yeah, because CGI animation, it does count.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true, yeah. But yeah, you can still create some stuff with 3D animated films, but it's like, there are some 3D animated films that still apply 2D animated physics, like Storks and like...
Yes.
It's like, and Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, they still apply cartoon physics to those, and that still works.
They're fully CGI, though. And what your point is that these are live action remakes.
Live action.
We'll get onto that in another video. So because there are real life human people in it, it takes away that. You
can't do the
same things.
You can't, unless you're actually doing a film called The Mask, where you can actually throw cartoon logic into it. You can't really have Gaston being thrown around, going into fights. Instead, you've got them like a choreography, kind of like a dance and all that. It's just like, it doesn't have the same feel or impact.
Yeah.
Although 101 Dalmatians did work in a way, it's like, because the villains were cartoony anyway.
Yes.
Like Jasper and Horace. That's the only live action remake, because we didn't mention it first.
The original live action remake.
It is actually,
Dalmatians.
We're gonna have to actually look into that.
That one still works because I like animals, so that helped.
Dogs.
But yeah, even the character, the main villains were still cartoony, so that still works.
That Home Alone type injury type stuff. Yeah.
And like I say, Glenn Close as well.
Glenn Close.
Oh yeah.
Because she deserves that, because she embodied Cruella de Vil 1,000%. 1,000.
Yeah.
But back on Beauty and the Beast. So, yeah, basically with this one, it was mixed feelings. It was... when you paid real homage without going over the top, like they did with Be Our Guest, when they paid a real homage to the original, it like the sets and everything were beautiful. The rose looked beautiful. Some of the changes were good, like the everlasting winter. But when they went with the changes that weren't right and they altered things and there were some changes that were wrong and they shouldn't have been changed. So it was a mixed feelings for us, really. I'm going to ask you first take or remake.
For Beauty and the Beast?
Yes.
First take.
Yes.
It's just a lot more tight of the story, to be honest. And again, it's cartoon. It was the first animated film to get nominated for an Oscar, so it has that.
Yes. Sean, what about you? First take or remake?
Go first take.
Yes.
Yeah. First take. For me, it was a valid effort to try.
Yeah.
But it was a try. It wasn't
you
try. Succeeded like the previous two, like Cinderella and Jungle Book. It felt like two steps forward, one step back. Don't know. Some of the changes were welcome. Some of the changes were not.
Yeah. And
again, like I say, some of the additional songs, which actually we found out are from the musical.
They're from the musical.
We're seen, and funny enough, in a film, we're seen as padding. So I understand that they're in the musical because obviously a musical needs songs to tell the story. But in this, you didn't need these songs in there.
Yeah,
you just needed, funny enough, like Jungle Book, what Jungle Book did, kept the memorable songs in, but there was so many memorable songs in Beauty and the Beast that you could actually incorporate them.
It was excess, it didn't need to be there.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I'm saying first take.
Although, to be honest, of all the new songs, I did actually enjoy Beast's song Evermore.
You mean the Forever Alone song?
Oh, yeah. Of all those new songs, that was the best one, to be honest. Actually, listen to it later on, to be honest.
Oh. Okay, well, I'm also going to say first take. For me, Beauty and the Beast didn't need to be remade. It was perfect as it was. It didn't need this film. I appreciate the marketing made out like it was an exact shot-for-shot remake, and it wasn't. And the changes that you made were, in majority part, were unnecessary. Although some of them were positive. But I suppose to sum up how we feel about these remakes, I mean, we've said 3 first takes and 2 remakes. So currently, first take is winning. So please, Disney, if you are going to do more if you are going to do more remakes, take note from Cinderella, take note from Jungle Book, and just run with those kinds of remakes. Just take the positives and go forward, please. Because they're going to remake Lion King. You saw my Simba cushion in the last video. Lion King is my favourite Disney film. If they mess it up...
Expect an Abby Maleficent rant.
Expect an Abby Maleficent rant. A serious one. There will be many beeps.
Me and Colt might just stand behind the camera and just let you go.
Just beep, just constantly. Anyway, we really hope you enjoyed this video and part 1 as well. We're going to be reviewing the list of upcoming Disney remakes, the future ones, and get Colt's reaction because Colt doesn't know the list yet. Enjoy the rest of our videos on our channel. Make sure you subscribe. Link to Beauty and the Beast if you want to know more. And we will see you in the next one. Cheers.
Yeah.
Facebook.
Yeah, don't forget to like us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Yeah. And before we finish off, why don't you let us know what your favourite live action Disney remake is?
Yeah.
And, funny enough, which one is your least favourite?
Yes. Do you hate Maleficent as much as we do? Let us know. We'll start a group.
Yes, indeed. Yes.
A support group.
Feel sorry for the one person who's like, oh, I quite like Maleficent.
We're not friends with those people.
I will politically debate you.
I would genuinely unfriend someone on Facebook if I found out they liked Maleficent.
Oh.
That's how bad it was.
But anyway, guys, thank you for watching these videos, and
Yes.
like I say, we appreciate all your support at this moment in time, and please keep on watching, and we'll see you in the next video.
Okay, bye.
To be concluded, I think.
Not
Yes.
quite sure.
But yes, with a list.
List.